family woman making six figures a year doing social media marketing and wedding planning. That's the interview I've got lined up for you right now with Erica, someone that's been in my program for quite some time. We've worked very closely together, and just to see what she's been able to do balancing two careers, social media marketing and wedding planning, and they don't really correlate. I think you'll get a lot of value from how she manages the two. Also has a family, right? So if you think you don't have time to make an online business work because you got a 9 to 5 right now, well, she's basically got two careers going and a family. So this should hopefully serve as some inspiration to show that you really do have the time. It's just about making the time. Okay, guys, welcome in. So today we have Erica tuning in from the States, who's going to intro herself in just a moment. But Erica, you've been with us for a few months, and you know the main purpose of this interview, right? I made a little intro video before this, is to really break down like the balance that you have right now between social media marketing, wedding planning, and of course having a family, right? Like it's quite a lot of things to juggle. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting insights that you'll be able to share. So if you want to give people the formal introduction, who you are and what you do, and we'll get into it from there.
Perfect. Yeah, so my name's Erica. I started with 7FA in April. And at first I was skeptical, and I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying finding from my footing from being a new mom, from also getting laid off from Microsoft, and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I have years of experience in hospitality, was a general manager, was in a C-suite level through a hospitality group, and working for other people is great experience. But at the end of the day, when you know what you want to do or don't know what you want to do, but you know you want to do your own thing, I really took the opportunity based off the support from my husband to go out and try something new. I had friends that wanted me to help them with their social media management, which I just continued to call a side hustle. I just said, oh, I'm just gonna, here's $500 here and here's a few other $500. And it was contributing to the household, but it wasn't where I needed to be contributing or where I previously was contributing, which for me was hard. It was a hard spot to be in, for my own personal identity of where I knew I could be and where I wanted to be. But I hadn't yet done the work to be able to get to where I am, even just now. And now where I'm at, I wouldn't have believed I was at. And now it's like, wow, the door is open. The opportunity is there. People are reaching out, but you got to do the work. So yeah, so here we are. It is, how many months is that now? 5 months, 6 months,
Yeah.
that we started at ground zero. I did start with two clients that were
Mhm.
friends of the industry, and then I'm up to 7 clients now, 7 solid clients. I'm pretty niched in hospitality, but I have made a few exceptions where I'm learning a ton in another industry, in the painting industry. And even just with that opportunity and saying yes to that, I've got other people that are reaching out based on that. So there's just so much opportunity in this industry that I didn't even know. So I guess that's kind of me.
That's a damn good intro. I can tell you that. And I think, you know, you started off touching on, Erica, there, kind of the struggle you had with your identity, right? After being laid off and then having, you know, a couple of very small clients, a little bit of money coming in. And that's something I'm sure a lot of people have been through, right? Whether they've been in that tight spot and said, okay, I'll just wait for the next job to come by, or they've done what you did, which was take the leap of faith, like you said, support from your husband. So fair play to him. But, you know, to take that leap of faith, and that's what that is. And for you, it might have been easy to do that because you knew you wanted to do it. But for a lot of people, that's the scariest thing in the world. So, how was it making that decision? Was it difficult to decide I'm going to do my own thing, or did it come naturally?
Doing my own thing was literally being pushed by people that knew my capabilities as
Mhm.
well. And the idea of helping small business, I've always loved restaurants. I've always loved being in restaurants. But you know what I didn't want to do, and I knew I couldn't do? I couldn't turn the lights off at the end of the night. I
Mhm.
couldn't clean the bar. I couldn't write the schedules. This was my opportunity to still support small business, be in the business, have the benefits of still understanding what's going on in small restaurants, being able to take my family out to these people that are supporting me and I'm supporting their business, without having to do the actual work of managing a restaurant.
That makes a lot of sense because when I think of managing a restaurant, I think my head just gets fried. I'm like, that's got to be insane. What
It
we
is insane,
do,
but it's a passion.
a
It's a labor
passion
of love.
for sure, for sure. And I think people have that same mindset when it comes to online business, right? Like a lot of people see it and go, "Whoa, like how do you even start? Like, what's the first thing you do?" And I'm sure you fell into this, right? There's so much online. There's business models, there's different coaches, there's a whole lot of stuff out there. And obviously finding your path in that can be, let's be real, that can be quite difficult. So
Yeah.
for yourself, let's say with that, Erica, like how did you go about that process? Did you kind of search on YouTube and just look through to see what was there from different people, or how did you even come to, I guess, stumble across me and then actually join the program
Yeah.
in the end?
Yeah. I was doing a lot of soul searching. I
Mm-hmm.
had working with Microsoft, it opened up a new I mean, I was in restaurants, I was serving
Mm-hmm.
tables. I was like, how am I even working for Microsoft? But those transferable skill sets really are a service to you when you hone in on your craft, and they transfer into all different facets and all different industries. And if you're a go-getter, and if you can communicate on a level where there's respect and people want to listen to what you say, but you're also willing to listen to what other people are saying, putting yourself into a student mindset, being able to feel comfortable in the space that is uncomfortable, knowing that it's temporary and that you have bigger goals that you're trying to go after. That tiny space that you're in doesn't, like, that's not who you are. It's a transitional period that you're going through to be able to get to that next step. And when you're looking at the big picture, it feels overwhelming. But when you look at piece by piece, it's so much more consumable. So for me, it was really coming to terms with, the term "fake it till you make it." That to a degree, but also being honest with your skill set, and also being honest with, hey, I don't necessarily know that. Let's learn this together. Or, hey, I don't actually know that. I'm going to get back to you on that, and I'm going to do the work. I'm going to find out on YouTube what I need to do. And then when I realized that this is what I wanted to do, it was like, how can I ramp up quicker? So my ramp up time is a shorter, less acute scale, that short-term investment is paying dividends in long-term investment. So I'm reaping the benefits of long-term investment by that short-term investment. That, to me, yeah, I spent a lot of money. I was a whole month's wages essentially. I'm fortunate again that I have a husband that's working full time. That he was like, if this is what you want to do, I do it. And I jumped, and at first I was like, oh, this isn't, I don't know if this is what I exactly want. But the information that was available was then, that was my job to turn it into what I wanted it to be. So I know that I'm not the exact model that you've done. And that's what's great about it, is I'm able to take your experience, I'm able to make it my own. When you're working in sales, me telling your story is not going to get people to follow. Me telling my story is going to get people to buy into whatever I'm trying to sell, essentially. It's going to build trust. It's going to build loyalty. I'm not going to forget the story because it's what happened to me. It's not what I'm trying to remember that you told me happened to you. So I knew that putting the invisible architecture is what I call it,
Mm-hmm.
all of that base infrastructure that's so important to be able to scale, being able to put that together with the tools that I have gotten from 7FA, the community in which we have, I mean, the threads that I can't even keep up with because there's so much information being shared across the platform, across the world, really. It's crazy. There's people from all over the world that you just didn't really know. And it's just right there in your hand. It's available at all times, as much as you want or as little as you want. And yeah, great tool. Great tool. I feel good about it.
Awesome. That's what we like to hear. Also, shout out to husband, eh? Like, just from my perspective, hearing that, that's so cool. Like, so cool that he was able to, like, to give you that push and that confidence and that kind of support to say, hey, look, like, you've done your due diligence, you know what you want to do, and then just being there to support you on that. That's just really cool. So shout out to him.
Yes, we've just celebrated 14 years married. We've been
Congrats.
together for 18 years. He's from New Zealand, and he we're best friends, and we've seen each other through so many different things, and new births and new beginnings, and buying a home and having a
Mm,
child, and all of these big milestones that we've done together. This was really scary, but it was also, you can't get the reward without the risk. We're fortunate that he's kind of that steady income that's coming in,
hmm
right? He's got great benefits. He works a super hard job. He works in a psychiatric unit. He sees a lot of
mm,
stuff that I would never see.
mm,
But he knew the value in me finding happiness, and
hmm
me having some independence and having my own identity. And yeah, that's a whole
Amazing.
other thing.
Yeah, yeah, amazing, amazing. Eric, I want to go back to the balance, right? The balance between everything you've got going on, because like you said, you've got 7 good clients on board now for social media, which is fantastic. People listening are probably doing the numbers in their head, and they're like, oh, okay, that's probably this amount per month, which is enough for me to quit my job and all this good stuff. You obviously don't just do that. Like, you do the wedding planning, which is a massive chunk of what you do as well. So break us down. How do you balance the two? I know it's a lot of hard work, and I know it's a lot of just forethought and planning, and seeing the weeks ahead and mapping it out that way. But I think a lot of people will be listening, and they might be in a job right now, and they're thinking, I don't have the time to start something. It's just really not possible. Whereas I think you and me know it probably is. It's just about finding that time and having the right structure. So what has kind of helped you on that journey? And yeah, I'm curious if you have any tips for people.
Yeah, the organization piece is huge. Communication and organization are the two founding base infrastructures, I guess you
Mm-hmm.
could say. That's super duper important. And mapping it out is, like you said, everything comes with a Google invite. I live by my Google Calendar. And if there's chunks of time that I've scheduled for myself, if there's chunks of time that I've scheduled for clients, it's in there. If it's not in there and I'm being held accountable for it because someone else's process isn't the same as mine, I can't do that and promise that I'm going to be able to save time for you. Even going out to lunch with my girlfriend, even last night going out for dinner with my girlfriend, send her a Google invite. Great, we're going to
Mm-hmm.
dinner this time. Perfect, Google invite. um I think the other thing with me was, and I continued when I started, I was very clear with Ty. I have a wedding, and I have a very large wedding that's coming up, and we have, 6 months or 7 months, wherever we were at that point. I could see for myself where I previously was, that I knew that I getting closer to the wedding is when crunch time happens and
Mm-hmm.
unforeseeable things happen. So that organizational piece, I can be as organized as I can be, but also the client's responsible for being organized. And if your client isn't responsible, and they're not responsible potentially, you've got to mitigate that risk for yourself. So, taking on a new client, I did end up taking on 2 new clients in that same
Mm-hmm.
month. I was not thinking I was going to be able to do. And I was transparent with them. By the way, I have this going on. I'm scheduled off for this amount of time. This is where I'm going to be. If we don't have all of this content for me before I leave, it's going to be pushed to after I get back. And as long as you communicate clearly, and again, you talk about where you're at, it's I don't want to say it's easy. It's not easy. It's hard, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a consistent
Yeah,
staying organized that is very, very important.
for sure. For sure. We always like to say, yeah, it's not easy, right? None of this stuff is easy. If it was, we'd all do it, every single person, right? But it is simple, like you said. If you can be direct and set boundaries and also just be straight up and honest, it is quite simple. And I think that's a big doubt a lot of people have, because I know I had this doubt before I started. A whole year before, I was watching content about social media marketing, right? And I was in that loop, and that was great because that got my information up and my confidence and my just understanding and knowledge. But the big disconnect was, I was in college, it was my final year, and I was like, oh, I just can't, right? What if I get a client? Like, I was literally thinking, what if I get a client and they pay me 1,000 a month? Oh, that would be so scary, because then I've got college and I can't balance the two. A crazy excuse. Whereas if I had just done what you said, and I had just gone direct and said, hey, if a client comes on, and I just be straight up with them and be like, hey, look, this isn't my full-time thing, but I've got this amount of time per day to dedicate to everything we need to get done, I think I would have been okay. And I think that's the kind of that's the kind of message most people should probably hear around balancing. It's like, look, be upfront. You don't have to lie. It's not like you're saying, hey, I'm going to put 12 hours a day into this when you're not. Just be direct, straight up. And the planning is key as well. I love the Google Calendar tip.
Oh, the Google Calendar, man, yeah, it is a thing. And I think the other thing is know your threshold of things.
Mm,
Um, you don't have to say yes to everything, but it's already a no if you don't try. And I think that pushing yourself into that uncomfortable space, not, maybe onboarding 4 clients at once when you don't have your SOPs in place, but taking one client and being clear if they are your first client. Hey, this is a great opportunity. I'm so excited you chose me. I'm so excited you're trusting me to help you in your business. This is, I've got systems in place. I've got an idea of how I want to do this. Let's see how it works. And you tell me what's working and what isn't working. And you just continue to have those check-ins. I still have weekly check-ins with a few of my new clients that I've just started. There are going to be hiccups along the way. We're not curing cancer. We're not out here saving lives. We are helping people. Our time should be valued as well. And you need to value your time with setting those boundaries and setting that structure is you valuing your time as well. Because no one's going to tell you to do it. No one's going to tell you to take a day off. No one's going to tell you to do the things to take care of your mental health. That's your responsibility, and it's nobody else's place to sort out or manage. That's on you. And there needs to be a radical acceptance of what you need to do in order to get you to the next phase you want to be in. And you got to do the work. You got to do the work.
Sure, for sure. You talked there, Eric, about understanding your value, right? So I know a lot of that comes down to, as you mentioned, right, setting boundaries, and I know that's something we've worked on as well, is with clients, making sure that the expectations are clear and that they're not trying to, give them an inch, they take a mile. That's the kind of philosophy we
Scope
want to
creep.
get away from. Scope creep, exactly. So that's one part of it. The other part of it then is the monetary side, right? Of how much you actually charge and how do you figure that out? Now, obviously, I know the answer to this, but just for people who are listening in, like, what's your philosophy when it comes to pricing? Do you have set packages? Do you do custom packages, kind of building it out with the client? And like, where would you even start if you were just brand new beginner? What's the first step?
So I did a high level overview of what do I want my monthly earnings to be?
Mm-hmm.
How many clients do I need to get together? Do I need 5 clients at a higher price point, or do I need 10 clients at a lower price point with less offerings where you might be doing less work? I'm still figuring that out.
Mm-hmm.
There's a product mix because my situation is different because I'm also doing something that's completely different from the social media management piece. I'm
Mm-hmm.
also doing event coordination, which in the previous wedding that I just executed this last weekend, which is over with, which I feel very relieved about. That was negotiated at an hourly rate, and I
Mm-hmm.
tracked all of my hours for that.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd go into calls, and it would be a scheduled hour call, but it went into 3 hours. He, they know, hey,
Yeah.
I'm charging at this hourly rate, so I'm happy to be here. And if you want to talk about your kid, cool. I'm getting paid an hourly rate. Going to social media management where you're
Mm-hmm.
getting a monthly salary, I guess, even though it's on the lower end. I would structure how long each piece of content I would take me.
Mm-hmm.
I would structure it based off of the templates that I would build in the beginning, and then I would use those. So you kind of have an idea of how long each piece is going to take you. And I had set packages that I had each client that was on. I did have people that also, like a current one that I have, that decided to add on a few other options. I have connections with photographers, so I've chosen to have an add-on section where I can make extra money if people want it, because I have
Mm-hmm.
those resources available. So yeah, it's for me, it's not a clear shot. And
Mm-hmm.
being able to stay flexible has enabled me to push myself to do things I didn't know I could do, and capture potential opportunities and capture more income, because I have these connections that I can make work for me. I'm bringing business to them, and they're bringing me business because we're offering another level of service.
Love it. Love it. And it's really common. And I think again, for the person who hasn't quite started in this journey, they can hear that, and it's it's a little, it can be confusing for them, right? Because they're like, that's it, as in you're breaking down how much you want to make and then how many clients you'd need, and then you're looking at the hours of how long it's going to take you for each client, but it's kind of that simple. Of course, there has to be the understanding of the market rates,
Mm.
examples of what other people are charging in the market, but actually getting your first package out there, it's not as complicated or scary as it can sound. And I think, this is something I really struggled with when I started Arca, was that limiting belief of needing to have everything figured out. I needed to have the perfect packages, not just packages, right? But like perfect. I needed to have perfect website, business cards, all of that stuff, which we know now not to be true, and we don't need those things.
Yeah.
But when you were starting, what were some of the things that you did use, or that you did have in place that you feel did actually give you that confidence to be able to go, right, today is the day, we're getting the first deal? I know, like you said, you work kind of more informally for a couple of friends firsthand, but let's say after that point when you were going more with the, like, iron fist approach of, I'm going to bring in clients and get new business, what were some of the things that you did feel would have really helped you then that you would recommend for somebody that's just getting started?
Yeah, I think that my model again is different. I'm very in person. I'm very
Mm-hmm.
personable. I'm
Mm-hmm.
meeting people in person versus just online or cold calling or going through Instagram. So having your measurables available, being able to have a quick one-liner sales tool
Mm-hmm.
is great. You stumbling over your words and not knowing how to sell yourself that's not a great first look.
Yeah.
Um, if you're honest about it and it's endearing, maybe it might work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Make it your own. But I think that at first I felt like I didn't know how to tell people what I was doing because we were like, "What do you mean you're doing that? Weren't you working at
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft?" And you're like, "Well, yeah, I was," and that was a great networking opportunity. I still have people that I work with, that I'm reaching out with, that I make weekly calls with, that work at Microsoft. But it was really having conviction in what you were doing, and if
Mm-hmm.
you didn't believe it, they're not going to believe it.
Yeah.
So you've got to believe what your story is, and you've got to find the best way to tell it, the quickest way possible. Have it land in a way that is meaningful and resonates with the person you're telling it to. For me, in person, when I was going to vendor shows or I got invited to event shows, having something for them to take away, a card. Everyone wants a business
Mm-hmm.
card, even
Mm-hmm.
though they are kind of, I don't want to say they're outdated, but when you have massive amounts of people, you've got a memorable business card that you can
Mm-hmm.
hand to someone if you're going to be in person. If you're not going to be
Sure.
in person, that's really not, I mean,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's not an investment you need to make. I mean, honestly, I thought I needed a website. I thought I needed, a .com. I needed to have all this stuff. Yeah, sure, that helps. But I'm going to be honest, I didn't get a ton of anybody reaching out through the website. I
Yeah.
do have traffic that's going through my website. I do have content that's on my website. Most of my clients that I currently represent, I need to get the other ones up there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's not necessary. It's you that's fully backing you is what I think is the most important.
100% agree. They're nice to haves, right? Like website, great thing to have. Is it going to give you that extra little bit of credibility or legitimacy? Yeah, probably. But is it necessary? Is it going to close the deal? No, it's not going to
No.
make up for, as you said, if you don't know what your conviction is, like you don't have that conviction in what you do. Well, okay, we can't just bypass that with a website. It's not how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you've got to do the work. And then when you break it down into simple terms, it's not like you're coming after their bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
You're helping them in something that they either don't know how to do, don't want to do,
Mm-hmm.
um, just flat out don't know anything about it and how it potentially could help their business. And once you and it's not like I'm going out and I'm getting you millions of followers. I'm not promising that either. I'm
Yeah.
not over promising and under delivering. I'm trying my best to learn their business, hear what they have to say, take their stories and turn it into engaging content, while engaging their audience. And maybe they've never even responded to an inbox message. You go in
Mm-hmm.
there, wow, these messages have been here for months and years. You got to talk to your clients. If you
Mm-hmm.
want them to buy from you, you got to talk to them. So bringing that level of care and care to them,
Yeah.
it really helps.
Definitely. And you've brought a really good point, actually, which I wasn't even going to bring up, which is when people hear of social media management or marketing, right? And they say, okay, Erica, you're going to manage a social media page for them. There's kind of this implied perception of, wow, like Erica's going to do some voodoo magic and there's going to be millions of people seeing the content, right? Or like that's the expectation that your clients are going to have. For me, I don't really think I ever had a client that thought that. Yeah, there was a couple of clients that were like, okay, you're going to get us tens of thousands of followers, but the 99% were just like, as you mentioned, we don't use our Instagram. We want to, we don't have the time. We just don't want to sink any energy and effort into it. Here it is. Go take it. Go do it. And that can be as simple as your offer might be, is just,
Mhm.
I'm going to do the thing that you need to do, but you don't want to do and you don't have the time to do. And that's it. If we get fantastic results, amazing. We're going to push for that. And we're going to try and make that happen with the best of our ability. But we're just going to do the thing that you need to do. It's another little limiting belief I had when I started was I need to know, right? Like I need to know every strategy, every tactic. I need to be an expert at social media to be able to do this. It's just not the reality. Like you
Mm-mm.
said, if you just be upfront, straightforward, and you're solving that problem, you're selling that solution of convenience, you'll be fine. You'll be all good.
Yeah, and I think that one thing that Ty really told me when I was kind of stuck in a wheel of I'm not getting the results that I want to be
Mm-hmm.
getting. And you talk to your clients about what their goals are and fully understand what their goals are. And if their goals are to get more sales, but for instance, I had a client that said, I want to get more sales and I want more followers. And I'm like, we're not even able to keep up with the amount of business that you have right now. So we need to really think of do you want more followers just to have more followers and credibility? Do you want more followers because you're looking to get sales? Do you
Mm-hmm.
want more followers because like what is your goals? Because what you're telling me is one thing, but what the end result that you're saying we aren't even able to keep up with. So being able to have a realistic conversation about that. And Ty said, your client's not going to want me. I'm in Florida. I'm not going to walk through their front door. I'm not going to be what's the point of me seeing, what they have going on Tuesday if I'm not going to be coming through the door? And you know, those are things that resonated with me that are
Mm-hmm.
tools that I use now. It's a tool that I have in my toolbox that I work with my clients and tell them, and they all go, oh, you're right. If you're looking for quality people or quality followers that are going to come through your door that are super hyper local, that are in your neighborhood, that's what we want to focus on. That's what we want to target. If you're looking for just tens of millions of followers, then sure, we can look at the content that will go out and get that. But what are you looking for? So
Exactly.
yeah.
And I think that comes as well with like a level of, it gives you a level of authority when you can have that conversation with a client, because that's not the easiest thing to do, right? If I was to take someone brand new into social media and give them a client tomorrow and then, tell them, hey, go to your client now and explain that what they've just kind of told you, that goal doesn't actually make much sense. That'll be very scary, right? But
Sure,
as
absolutely.
you said, it's about the questioning, it's about understanding, just literally having that honest conversation, saying, look, John, what is the actual goal? Like walk me through it step by step, and then we'll kind of piece together how that would look for your social media. And it's that level of care that goes a long way. But it's also doing you a benefit, because then you're not trying to bend over backwards to figure out some crazy strategies that won't actually benefit them in the long run. So I think
Yeah,
that's a really
absolutely.
key point.
I also think that, and this for me from a previous client that, not all clients work out. And
No.
one of my clients, came to me and said, you haven't made a single sale. This isn't a sales position. I'm not a salesperson to go out and do direct sales for your business. What social media is meant to do is it's meant to kind of show your offerings. You're showcasing, you're building audience, you're telling your story. It's not going to be the end of the funnel. It's part of the funnel, but it's not the entire funnel. I'm not your PR director. I'm not your marketing manager. All of these different roles, those are full roles that
Yeah.
people take on. So being able to fully define what you're offering and bring them back to this is what our package is. You are paying for this amount of content. You're paying for X, Y, and Z, and This is what I'm offering to you. If you want to talk about negotiating a different service, I'm happy to have that conversation, but that's not included in what we are offering and what we are
Mm,
currently doing. So remembering those boundaries and staying strong in your conviction. And it doesn't need to be a negative conversation. It's just
mm,
a, hey, by the way, that's kind of awesome that you think that I'm capable of doing that or that you want me
hmm.
to do that. But unfortunately, that's not the role that I'm playing, and that's not what I'm offering.
Love it. Love it. And again, we know, right? That's the common pitfall. Like most people will fall into that scope creep and hey, look, client says I'll do, right? That kind of philosophy. But that's something that comes with time as well. It comes with just your conviction in the game. Erica, if you were to go back, right? So the day you started into the social media marketing world, right? Let's transport back for a moment. What was one thing you did then that you don't think benefited you? So a waste of time activity or something that really just you thought you needed to do, but didn't really need to be done. If you have an example, I think it'd be really cool if you could share because most people who are starting that, myself included, there was 9 things I did that I didn't need to do. One thing I did that I needed to do that actually got me results. And we see this true. I think everybody's heard of the 80-20 rule.
Yep.
Curious to hear your thoughts.
I was spending hours on YouTube
Mm,
and looking for the perfect package,
mm-hmm.
perfect who's going to get me to where I need to go the quickest. Um, Everyone's trying to sell you something on there. This is free. Everything is this is free. This is free. Follow me here. Write the word X, Y, and Z down in the comments and I'll send you free. And I guess to be honest, I found you on YouTube, and you had uploaded this full series of valuable information that pretty much took very good points from the 6FA program, and it resonated with me. You were very honest. I'm very honest. I'm very straightforward. Sometimes I can be too straightforward. And what you had put out there really resonated with me. And it was similar to my story of, you kind of hit rock bottom and you kind of have
Mm-hmm.
to figure out what you want to do. And it wasn't this everything's perfect and quick and easy, because it's not. Um, I was spending too much on bouncing around to different YouTube
Mm-hmm.
channels, I guess, looking for fixes. I was trying to figure out if I wanted to go the SEO route, if I wanted to go
Yeah.
social media management. And I needed to take that one, I needed to focus on one thing. And when I finally did, um, we're here now.
Here we are.
Um, but I am still doing wedding stuff. I am still doing
Mm-hmm.
event stuff, which is something that's a passion of mine. But this social media management thing is consistent. The monthly income that that's coming for the most part when you have good relationships with your clients. You're getting measurables. It's that for me is I would have gone with one thing and turned off the
Mm-hmm.
chatter.
Mm-hmm.
And the perfect package thing for me was really hard. I am a perfectionist. I thought it had to have the perfect photos. I thought that I needed to be making a certain amount of money, and I needed it to be based on how many clients I would have.
Mm-hmm.
So it was trying to be just more flexible, go with the flow a little bit more, communicate with your clients, and
Mm-hmm.
as you're going out and getting clients, um, and not being scared to go out and putting yourself out there into situations. My husband really taught me about this other thing. It's called your luck surface area. And if you like, there's opportunities where people invite you to things and you're like, I don't want to go. I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
go. The reality is your luck surface area is going to widen when you say yes to those opportunities where you can go into those social settings where there might be 10 people that are a captured audience that you can go in like, what do you do? That networking opportunity is huge. The more that you say yes to things like that, if that's what you want to do and you're ready to sell, going out in your luck surface area when you're reaching out on Instagram or you're reaching out on Facebook or you're reaching
Yeah.
out into groups, or is going to widen when you're actually putting yourself out there. Of course, there's going to be no's. Carry on. Just
Part of the
keep.
game.
Yeah, it's part of the game. It's part of the game. It's not personal. So yeah, those are the things that I would have worked on and changed.
Amazing. Amazing. And what's really interesting is that I can see the data, right? So say, for example, the YouTube series you watched, probably one of our big long videos, 7 hours, 8 hours, we
Yeah.
see the data, right? So what I see first off is how many people watch the video. Then I see how many people watch a lot of the video. I see the average watch time, which is 12 minutes, 12 minutes out of nearly 8 hours. So that'll
I was
tell a
8 hours.
lot. And then what we also get, which is really cool, is we get the statistics of what other people are watching. We see all the other YouTube content they're watching, the other creators. And what you just mentioned is very common. If somebody watches me, they'll probably watch 5 other people in the marketing space. And if they watch them, they're watching me and 5 others. And so what that tells us is most people fall into that trap as well. Of don't just pick one person, learn from as many teachers as you can. And there's a benefit of that, right? You take a bunch of insights from different people, put it together in your own way, but you'll also get conflicting advice and you'll get different methods and different systems. And we've seen people just get stuck for a much longer time when they've done that because you're confusing yourself with too many teachers. So that makes sense. And it was interesting to see that you had that as well. Erica, for people that are, enjoying this so far and they want to maybe follow along with your stuff, is there somewhere you'd want to direct them, whether it's your social media or elsewhere?
Yeah. So I have so my company is called Z Creative and Design Co. Z being named after my daughter. And we also have our ZCDC events. I'm in the process of that's being uploaded right now as we speak on my website, a whole event section.
Amazing.
So Z Creative and Design Co. is my website and it's my Instagram handle as well. And
Amazing.
yeah, and anyone has questions or anything that I might be able to help you with, reach out.
Amazing. That's also such a cool part of the name. I didn't know that was based on your daughter's name. Amazing.
Yeah, and then it looks like AC/DC too, which I love. So I play
Yeah.
when I do my logo and I do design it, we're definitely rock and roll. My
Nice.
my tagline is let's get creative and let's figure it out together.
Love it. Love it. Amazing stuff, Erica. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much, Adam. It was a pleasure. And again, I'm so stoked to be here and continue to grow with you. Thank you.
So there you have it. That was an incredible session from Erica. Really good insights there. And look, if you do feel like the transformational journey she's gone through of getting her social media marketing business set up is something you want to do and you'd want to work one-on-one with me, you'll see there's a link below this video where you can get the information about how you can do exactly just that. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.